Lacey Everett here with the Minds in Motion Sports Psych series. Today's guest is Mike Payne, who is a professional rugby player. I cannot wait for you to hear what Mike has to say. It is so needed. Mike shares his journey, going from being a high school athlete to a college athlete at BYU to now a professional athlete with the Utah Warriors. Mike got his bachelor's degree in exercise and wellness and currently plays the hooker position on a professional rugby team. Mike shares the hard work that he went through to become a professional and how to maintain a positive mindset, what kind of mindset tools worked for him that he is giving to you now. He gives us a lot of great tools for how to change your mindset for success, how to deal with rejection, and how to deal with not being the best and feeling those uncomfortable emotions that go along with that. Fear of not being perfect and how to get through that. Mike also talks about burnout in athletes, athletic burnout, and because it happens, it's real, and it's really difficult to get through. So he gives great advice on that. And don't forget to subscribe to the Minds in Motion YouTube channel so I can make more of these videos for you because they are for you and I care about your success. So I would love to hear your comments and thoughts. All right, let's go talk to Mike. Hi, Mike.
Hi.
I'm so glad to see you.
Oh, it's been so long, Lacey. I'm so excited that I could finally get to talk to you. It's been literally years, so I'm so happy.
It means a lot to me to have a friend like you and someone who's persevered so much through life. And you've become a professional rugby player and a phenomenal person, Mike. Oh. So those two things, it's like you have to be on here.
Oh, I love it. That makes me so happy. So I'm very glad to be here.
Good. And so, okay, so let's start talking about your journey, Mike, because your journey is intense and rugby in itself is intense. And to become a professional rugby player, I can't even imagine all of the things that you have to go through. And so I'm curious how you maintain a positive mindset, how to change your mindset for success, how to improve mindset, all of the above.
Yeah. Gosh. Well, school was like the peak to like, hey, I'm going to enter the like real world of college and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there. So kind of like a brief history of that for me. I played football in high school at Marietta Valley. I also did track. So I always had like the childhood goal of going to BYU to go play football. It was where all my brothers went. My sister went there and I was just like, it's my family school. Like I got to go. Right. And being affiliated with the church that I belong to, I wanted a good place, good environment. And I was just like, I want to go there. Right. So going into my junior year, right. So it's kind of getting introduced to some football scouts, things like that. I went to the Byu Rugby Camp and I talked to the head, like one of the coaches in my positions. And I did everything I could. And there's times where he'd like pull me off to the side, be like, hey, like, what grade are you in? Like, what do you weigh? Like, what's your times? Like trying to like get to know me. Right. So as that like continued on throughout the week, he approached me at the end of the week and said, hey, like, I want to follow you through your senior year, send me your film, send me all this. And like total dream come true. Right. And as I'm emailing him, like my videos and things like that, he was pretty transparent and said, hey, I gave the scholarship I had for your position to another athlete. If you get into BYU, I want you to seek me out. And I went to BYU. I was able to get in. And I trained with them all summer long as like a walk-on, I guess you could say, which was not glamorous by any means. So I'd wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning and have to go to their workouts for the walk-ons. We'd do like an hour of workouts. We would do cardio and all that. And then before the actual team came in, and then we got kicked out. So anyways, kind of like fast forwarding through this, I ended up getting cut at the tryouts to make the roster team. So everything I've ever tried to do at BYU or at Marietta Valley and then getting to BYU was just shut down, right? And I was totally devastated. I was so sad. I was like, man, like all I've ever wanted was to be a college athlete, right? Like so many of our friends like tried. And then I actually within the week was also tryouts for their track and field team, which not too many people know this, that I did shot put and discus. And I went and tried out for the track and field team at BYU as well. And the same thing, 2-week long tryout where the first couple days, all the other walk-ons would come. But then by the end of the like couple days, it was just me. I was getting film, I was getting like equipment. Like I was like, oh, like I'm practically on this squad. Like coaches like like doing everything to make it as like official as possible. And then after the 2 weeks, he called me down to the field and said, hey, we needed a different position on the track team, and we gave your position away, and you're not on the squad. Like super sad.
Wow.
So I got cut twice from BYU on that level, and literally I was like, this sucks, right? Like super devastating. And I hands down could say my mindset was not good. I was just totally defeated. Totally like it's tough when you have a goal that you've always like wanted to achieve, and when you don't achieve it, it's like, well, now what, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that now what led me to kind of where I am today. So I know I kind of talked a lot on like my high school and set it up for college, but within
that's
that,
important. It's important to know where you came from and where you are now. And it seems like you really persevered, and patience was a big part of it. It seems like.
And that like now what, that like patience that you just talked about led me to kind of give up sports entirely and to go serve a mission for my church. I served 2 years in Boise, Idaho, where had no contact with my family except emailing once a week, and I solely focused on other people. And I would wake up extra early to like still work out and to be strong and things like that. And you just got to do service, like all that fun stuff. And then fast forwarding after my mission, just feeling like a total high on life. I wanted to give football one more shot. And I did everything I can to train, get in shape. And 8 months later, I went to go try out. Actually, it was actually a year to year and a half later, I went to go try out for BYU football again. After all that training, right? I show up to the tryouts. The coach for my position says, we don't have a spot for you. I'm sorry, your tryout won't matter. And before even getting the chance to like, I want to try out, coach. Like how can I prove myself? I wasn't even given that opportunity. But that's
rejection. It's like,
oh, like 10 times over, stabbed to the heart, right? But that same week, I saw that they had this rugby, which I've never heard of before in my life. Besides, I know that it's just super aggressive. I think I saw Invictus or like another rugby movie with Matt Damon. And I go to the like website and I was like, oh, there's a 3-day tryout. And I had class the first 2 days during the time. So I missed both those days. And I was like, I wonder if I could show up Saturday to this tryout and see if they'll take me. So I go Saturday morning, literally I got my physical, like printed out. I go walk up to this field of like 80 people, just like so many people. And they're like throwing the ball around, and I go to like these coaches and I said, hey, I missed the first 2 days of tryouts, but here's my physical. Can I give this a shot? They're like, where the hell have you been, son? I'm like, I had class. I'm sorry I couldn't be there, but I I've always heard of rugby. I think it's pretty cool. They're like, have you ever played? I was like, no, not at all. They're like, well, we'll give you a shot. So I quickly go over to someone. I'm like, tell me everything about rugby. I need to know. And that was the first time touching a rugby ball, was at the tryouts for BYU, which was one of the top rugby teams in the nation at that time. And I learned how to like tackle. It pretty correlated over with football, but I learned how to throw the ball back and forth, things like that. And then it was a full-blown scrimmage that day. So I literally, they handed me a jersey. They're like, go. And I just started tackling everyone and just. And
you say it with the biggest smile on your face. I just started tackling everyone.
Oh, because you know me, you know how aggressive I was. So I was just in the element. And the one thing the coach said, like at the end, he said, well, after like the tryout, he's like, good job. Like you're really aggressive. I saw 2 days later, my name on the BYU men's rugby, Mike Payne. And like that mindset that you're talking about, like finally, like everything I've ever done paid off, right? Yeah, so super happy. But that was really only the start, right? Because for me, my goal is if I'm not achieving it at the best, highest level, I don't feel content, right? And I had that monster inside me that was like, I need to prove it to everyone. I just need to prove all my haters wrong. I need to prove it to myself. And I'll kind of dive into how that changed a little bit, but I ended up working so hard that I started for BYU as a tight head prop, played all season long for my first year. And then I started the second year. And as that second year, my senior year happened, I was getting recruited by the Utah Warriors, which is the professional team. And diving into that like journey, every time I worked out, Lacey, I would tell myself, this is what a pro athlete needs to do. I would grab the heaviest weight I could and said, if I'm going to be a pro athlete, I need to lift this right now. And I would just kill myself working so hard to be like, if I'm going to do this, I need to do this, right? And that mindset that I had was literally unbreakable.
And unbreakable. Yes, unbreakable really is a good word for it. Talk about perseverance. It seems like you kind of took the rejection as encouragement almost, or kind of like it set the fire in you to, okay, you're saying I can't do this, just watch me.
Yeah. And it was like my mantra, right? Like I was like, this is what I'm going to do. I have to do this. Right. And I think a lot of people have that desire, but I think where I may have separated myself a little bit from others, and Lisa, you might feel this, is when you get this rejection or this hardship in life, whether it's like getting cut from a rugby team, or I don't know if it was Lake girls, I don't know your experience, or whatever it is, getting cancer, getting broken up with, this point and feeling of failure that you feel deep within you, that is the point where how strong is my mindset? Like I am at rock bottom. How am I going to get out of this? And how strong is my mind to be like, I am a failure, and accepting what that moment is and being like, look, I didn't get this opportunity, or I didn't have the strength or capacity to be a professional football player or even a college football player, but I'm going to keep going.
Distress tolerance, learning to accept the negative emotions or the uncomfortable feelings and release. You know, you don't have to approve of it, but you can accept it. Okay, it's there, and release. And it seems like you really did that.
Yeah. Instead of being like water going the path of least resistance, you're like, I'm just going to feel sad. It's like, okay, I see this mountain, I'm going to climb it. Like, stop me. So that mindset led me to where I'm at now. Utah Warriors. I'm not starting like yet, but I still have that same desire every time I work out I'm going to be the strongest one on that field. I'm going to be the best one in shape. I'm going to do everything I can to prove myself. And right now, the biggest challenge I'm facing is just being able to learn. Like, I am brand new to this game that people have played literally their whole lives. And I feel so young, and I'm trying my hardest to be like, gosh, like, this is so different for me. I still got to learn. And like, that's my challenge now. It's like, okay, I got to hit the books. I got to study. I got to watch film. Right. So,
yes. And I truly admire that in you, how you're so curious and you're so open to learning, even being the first day of tryouts, being the first time you touched a rugby ball. And
yeah.
okay, you kind of just don't care. You're like, you know what? It's mind over matter.
Mhm.
I know I can be capable of learning, so I'm just going to try and do it. And now you're a professional.
Oh, well, I appreciate it. We're getting there. We're getting to where it's more and more professional. I appreciate it.
But that mindset is going to serve you for life, Mike.
I think it will. And it's definitely already.
And it has.
Yeah.
So with that, with continuing professionally, how do you deal with those emotions when you don't feel like you're the best?
Yeah. That one's tough, right? Like, because it's like, how do you find strength in your weakest moment? Which I'm sure all of your viewers and like all the people that will be able to see this will, I hope they look back on their weakest moment and are able to like identify, like, I feel like most of us can identify that point of like, it's called an inflection point, where you literally have a choice to make. You either can continue in the path of sorrow or sadness or hurt or pain or whatever it is, and then literally make a decision to be like, okay, like that you described it, that suffering, and accept that suffering, and then take steps to get out of it, right? So for me personally, like, what I've done is I've opened my like mind to the fact that my life's purpose isn't to be a professional rugby player. My life's purpose isn't to be the strongest one at the gym or to be all these different things. My purpose in life is things that are character. Like, am I a good person today? Like, did I help my fellow neighbor? Did I love those that lacked love? Right. And that fulfills me more than any achievement I've ever tangibly achieved in my athletic career. And I think that's more important than anything else, is to say, okay, how am I going to just change my mindset then, of instead of focusing on these goals that will put you in a dark, failed place, because we'll always fail. We'll never be the strongest. We'll never be the fastest. We'll never be these things. And if they are, which we could list them, right? Usain Bolt, like all these, and Serena Williams, like these professionals that are at the peak, they still are, some of them are depressed or not as happy, right? Because they have those action-based goals of like, I need to win the World Cup to be happy. I'm sorry, but I truly think the positive mindset, the mindset we need, is to be, how am I going to be a good person? How am I going to love those? And I truly think that's what can carry us through anything right now.
I cannot agree more with you, Mike, when you say that. And it's a good point too, because I think too, it has a lot to do with our identity. Because a lot of professional athletes, I've had this happen to myself with dance. We make our sport our identity. And it could go for anything, your work, you're a firefighter, let's say. I'm a firefighter, you know, I'm this, I'm a dancer, I'm a rugby player. But it's like, no, I'm Lacey, you're Mike, I like chocolate and going to the beach, you know, like there's different things, there's different things that make us up. And I think it's so true. Like, we get so stuck in being an athlete, and that consumes us, that when we get injured and we have to stop, or when our career's over, like you said, they get depressed, or we get anxiety, or we feel like we don't have a purpose in life because we never had that sense of self outside of our sport.
Yeah.
I used to say to myself, okay, I'm going to be a Laker girl today for 2 hours at a charity. And then after that, I'm going to be done. I'm going to be Lacey. And I'm going to be So that kind of helps.
Yeah. But the fact that you saw that even as your peak level of dance, you were a professional dancer and you're able to identify like, this isn't who I am, right? Like, I think that as Americans, unfortunately, we're so prone to labeling. And I think that's where a lot of the like hurt that's going on in America right now is due to labeling. And that we just want, okay, what can I comfortably put this person as or put myself in so I'm comfortable, right? Like I genuinely think that it's just always taught too, like our coaches are like, you need to be the best. Like I wish we can start shifting that like teaching from like you have to be successful to shifting on developing us as a person, right? Like
yes,
we don't have that where we can say, hey, you're going to fail in life. I want you to feel what failure feels like. Hey guys, we just lost this football game. I want you to feel this and understand this is a part of it. This is a part of life and this is going to make you grow, instead of take this in and we'll never have this again. You guys suck.
I love that you talked about feelings, because a lot of people don't do that or they're afraid to. It's also uncomfortable. And no one wants to feel negative feelings. No one wants to feel that. But it's kind of like what you were talking about. And what I labeled it as distress tolerance, is like regulating those negative emotions and learning like that it's okay to feel like that. And like you said, to have coaches who are like, this is part of the process. It's going to happen and that's okay.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Which I think there's so much we could talk forever. So much in my mind. I think the biggest thing though is like, maybe as being a male, is it's okay to feel. And I'm okay to feel what I have to feel. And our rugby league MLR released a video of mental health, that even us guys that we have these big, tough, strong personas, like I can lift a lot of weights and I'm big and tough and I tackle people, but I still get sad, right? And like I think we need to
be saying this.
I think we need to be more supportive of each other, right? Like if you treat everyone, I heard this saying from I forgot where I read it. I read a lot of sayings, but if you treat everyone as if they're going through a life crisis, you'll be right about 50% of the time, which I guarantee you that number is even higher now. So if we just treat everyone, if they're going through a hardship, whether it's depression, eating disorder, a breakup, a loss of a family member,
a bad day,
like even if like you'll be right 50% of the time. And how great would it be to be that person that was going through the hardship, a smile, a hug, opening the door, tipping them, like paying for their meal. Like that's what I want and brings me more fulfillment than winning a game on a Saturday. So
gosh, I'm feeling so much passion for this conversation right now. Like I feel it in my heart. Well said, Mike. Burnout, athletic burnout. It's real. It's a thing. It's difficult. How do you cope with that? What are your ways with that? Any tips you have for others who deal with that?
Being okay with your passions changing. Like, who says that you have to be passionate about your sport forever? Like,
who says?
No, like, where does that rule come in that says you have to be in love with football, golf, tennis, badminton, whatever it is, forever? Like, I think of it like dating. Like, dating phase is getting to know things, like, oh, and then when you have a relationship, it's like, oh, that thing I like, this I don't like. And then you go back to dating and like experience things, right? Like,
yes.
I've had such false like hopes in dating, like, oh, I want someone super passionate about life or whatever, and then like whatever it is. And
yes,
I've been sorely disappointed in dating, like, oh, maybe I don't want that. Like, things change, right?
Yeah.
I think foremost, maybe a burnout tool, change in passion, even like we need another tool maybe would to be explore passions. Like if we've set or built up this, like, I need to be a pro dancer, this is what I need to do, this is what I need to do, this is what I need to do. And then all that comes tumbling down, the like hurt and disappointment is so extreme. Like that feeling so extreme. But there's a point where it's like, okay, what do I do? Like, and that comes from like, well, I like swimming. I'm going to go swim as a hobby, right? Like, or I'm going to go art, or, oh, I like talking to people. Maybe I should go into counseling. Like, there's all these things that we constantly can do on a daily basis. If we're so focused on like one thing, it's like, no, we need to take a step back and explore multiple hobbies. Like,
yes, absolutely. And I think immersing ourselves in different things is wonderful. And I think that's the key point to what you're saying is like, the more you immerse yourself in, the more you're going to realize about yourself. And you're going to realize what you don't like, what you do like. As long as you keep going and pushing forward, even if it's something you don't like and you're not sitting on the couch like a couch potato, as long as you're pushing forward, then there's nothing wrong about that.
Yeah. And I think that even highlights my story is that like, rugby or football shut down.
You could have easily become couch potato, rejected.
Exactly.
But you didn't, which says a lot about your mindset.
And then I was willing to be like, I've never touched a rugby ball in my life, but yet let's go give this a shot, right? Like,
exactly. Mike, that's such a good point. It totally goes along with your story. You did exactly that.
Exactly. So I think there's so many things that we challenge with burnouts, and like maybe like apart from those couple tools is just being able to see, okay, what's the friction? What's the like sandpaper that's like, oh, this is wearing me down day in, day out. And it's like, I hate having to go do cardio. Okay, well, make cardio fun. Change some things around, right? Like, oh, I hate having to read. Well, listen to audiobooks. Like, there's so many different things that we could have, these like small things, if you happen to stay in your passion or in your day-to-day, to just simply change up what's annoying you, right? Like,
yeah, so good ways to deal with athletic burnout is to just change your philosophy a little bit there. And because I feel like there's so many modifications for everything nowadays, we can change our workouts, we can change the way we think of things.
I just think there's so much there that like you'll face, and like my one experience or couple experiences or even our experiences might not be what other people are facing, but like that's okay. It's like burnout's going to happen. I think this is kind of the cool thing, that we can all figure it out on our individual self and keep moving forward, or to move past what hardship we're facing, you know?
Yes, absolutely. And this whole entire conversation can apply to anything in life, really, whether you're an athlete or not. Thank you so much, Mike. This was phenomenal.
Oh, I've loved it. I love talking to you. I miss you so much.
Words of wisdom, true words of wisdom you have, Mike.
Oh, I appreciate that. I don't hold myself that high regard, but I have experienced a lot. I think we all have experienced a lot, and it's all valid, right? I hope to, if one person takes one positive thing from this, I'm so glad that you shared this, because that was worth it for that one person.
Yes, I'm stoked for you with rugby. And I'm wishing you the absolute best, training like a professional, keeping and maintaining that mindset like you do.
Absolutely. It's literally been years.
All right. Thank you, Mike.
Okay. Love ya. Bye.